Captain Olivia Grant stared at the main view screen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Artemis. What she saw made her blood run cold. A massive fleet of alien ships had appeared out of nowhere, surrounding Earth's choke point to Nova Terra. Ships were sleek, with curved hulls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Varaxian vessels, and there were hundreds of them. "Status report," she demanded, her voice steady despite the fear building in her chest. "Captain, we're detecting similar Varaxian fleet formations at every jump point, connecting Earth to the colonies," said Lieutenant Paul Carter, his fingers flying across the sensor controls. "They've created a complete blockade, no way in or out." Olivia took a deep breath. The Artemis was a supply ship, not a warship. They carried food, medicine, and building materials for the Nova Terra colony. They had basic defenses, but nothing that could challenge even one Varaxian cruiser, let alone a fleet. "Open a communication channel," she ordered. The alien commander appeared on screen. The Varaxian had gray-blue skin with ridges along the jawline and skull. Its 4 eyes blinked in sequence rather than together, giving its gaze an unsettling quality. "This is Captain Olivia Grant of the Earth vessel Artemis. We are on a peaceful supply mission. Please explain your presence." The Varaxian commander looked down at her with what seemed like pity. "I am Fleet Commander Zalthar of the Varaxian Consortium. By authority of the Galactic Council, Earth is now under quarantine. Your species has been deemed too aggressive for responsible expansion. This quarantine will remain until humanity demonstrates appropriate restraint. We have peaceful colonies." "We've made no hostile actions against any species," Olivia protested. "Your rapid expansion tells us otherwise. 3 colonies in 20 years? Your technology advances at an alarming rate. The Council has decided. Earth is contained for the greater stability of the galactic order." The screen went dark. Olivia turned to her crew, who looked as shocked as she felt. "Set course back to Earth. Maximum speed. We need to warn command." As the Artemis turned away from the blockade, Olivia knew this was worse than any war. The Varaxians weren't trying to conquer Earth, they were trying to cage it. Admiral Daniel Reeves stood in Earth's orbital command station Olympus, surrounded by holographic displays showing the Varaxian blockade points. Every jump gate, every wormhole route, every hyperspace lane, all blocked by overwhelming alien force. "How long can the colonies survive without supply lines?" asked General Alan Bishop of the Earth Defense Council. "Nova Terra has about 6 months of supplies," Reeves replied. "Europa Prime, maybe 8 months. New Horizon was just established last year. They have 3 months at best." The room fell silent. Earth's first steps into the stars, cut short by aliens who saw humanity as a threat rather than a potential ally. "What about military options?" asked Secretary Kate Wells, her face grim in the blue light of the displays. Reeves shook his head. "The Varaxians outmatch us in every category. More ships, better technology, experienced crews. A direct confrontation would be suicide. So we just accept being prisoners in our own solar system." General Bishop slammed his fist on the table. "Generations of work, trillions in resources, all those brave colonists, we just abandon them?" "I didn't say that," Reeves said quietly. He pressed a button on his wrist device. "Dr. Wright, please join us in the command center." Dr. Lisa Wright entered the room moments later. She was a small woman with short brown hair and tired eyes that suggested she hadn't slept in days. She carried a secure tablet under her arm. "Tell them," Reeves said. Dr. Wright connected her tablet to the main display. The holographic images of Varaxian ships were replaced by technical schematics of something the council members had never seen before. "This is Project Ares," she said. "A classified military research program that's been in development for the past 5 years. It uses quantum entanglement principles to create a new type of weapon system. In English, please, Secretary. Wells requested. Simply put, we found a way to deploy weapons that don't need to travel through space. They simply appear where we want them, bypassing conventional defenses like shields or armor. General Bishop leaned forward. That's impossible. Even with quantum technology, it was thought to be impossible. Dr. Wright corrected him. But we've achieved successful tests at lunar distances. The system works by linking a human operator's neural patterns directly to a network of combat drones. The operator thinks, and the drones respond instantly, regardless of distance. What's the catch? Reeves asked, though he already knew the answer. Dr. Wright's expression darkened. The human mind isn't designed to exist in multiple places at once. The neural strain is ... significant. We've lost 3 test subjects already. 2 died from massive cerebral hemorrhages. 1 is alive, but in a permanent vegetative state. The room grew cold as the implication sank in. But you have a volunteer. Who might succeed? Reeves prompted. Yes, Commander John Foster. His psychological profile and neural plasticity scores are off the charts. If anyone can handle the integration, it's him. Secretary Wells looked horrified. You're talking about turning a human being into a weapon. I'm talking about giving humanity its only chance, Dr. Wright replied. The Varaxians have us cornered. Our colonies will die without support. Earth's economy will collapse without access to off-world resources. This isn't just about pride, it's about survival. Admiral Reeves looked each council member in the eye. I need authorization to deploy Project Ares. We're not asking for this fight, but if the Varaxians want to cut us off from the stars, they need to understand what humans are capable of when cornered. General Bishop was the first to nod. Do it. One by one, the others agreed. Secretary Wells was the last, tears in her eyes as she whispered, God help us. And God help Commander Foster. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in a facility unknown to all but a few hundred people, Commander John Foster prepared for what might be humanity's last hope, or his final mission. The integration chamber was blindingly white, filled with medical equipment and the experimental neural interface pod. Foster, a tall man with short brown hair and the steady gaze of someone who had seen combat removed, his uniform jacket, and sat on the edge of the pod. Last chance to back out, Dr. Wright said as technicians attached neural sensors to his temples and the base of his skull. Foster smiled slightly. And miss the chance to make history? Not a chance. His expression grew serious. How bad will it hurt? I won't lie to you. It will be the worst pain you've ever experienced. But if it works, I become humanity's god of war. He finished. And the Varaxians learn why it was a mistake to cage us. Foster lay back in the pod, closing his eyes as the neural fluid began to fill the chamber around him. His last human thought was of Earth seen from space, a blue marble hanging in the darkness, home to billions who would never know his name, but whose freedom now rested on his shoulders. Then the pain began, and John Foster started to become something more than human. Pain was all John Foster knew for what felt like eternity. His mind stretched and tore in ways he never thought possible. He was no longer just in the pod beneath the lunar surface. He was everywhere and nowhere, his consciousness split into countless fragments. Then suddenly clarity came. Foster opened his eyes, but not just the eyes of his physical body. He saw through hundreds of other sets of sensors, the Ares drones. Small, sleek machines about the size of a car, armed with weapons that could tear through the strongest alien armor. And he controlled all of them with just his thoughts. Commander Foster, can you hear me? Dr. Wright's voice seemed to come from very far away. Yes, Foster replied, though his lips didn't move. His words appeared on a screen in the control room. I can hear you. I can see. Everything. In the observation room, Dr. Wright turned to Admiral Reeves with a look of cautious hope. Neural integration is holding stable. Brain activity is high, but within predicted parameters. He's doing it, sir. Reeves stepped closer to the communication panel. Foster, this is Admiral Reeves. Can you control the Ares units? Foster didn't just control them, he was them. He felt each drone as if it were part of his body. He sent a thought, and in the testing chamber next door, 50 drones rose in perfect formation, hovered, then arranged themselves into a spinning helix pattern. Control confirmed, Foster replied. I'm ready. Dr. Wright frowned at her monitors. His heart rate is elevating. Blood pressure rising. We should give him more time to adjust before. We don't have time, Reeves cut her off. The Varaxian blockade has been in place for 2 weeks now. We've received distress signals from New Horizon Colony. They're already rationing food and medical supplies. He turned back to the communication panel. Foster, we're moving to Phase 2. Are you prepared to deploy? Inside the neural pod, Foster's physical body lay motionless, but his mind raced with power and purpose. Just tell me where to strike. The Varaxian patrol ship Vigilant Claw moved silently through space near the Saturn jump point. Its crew was bored. Blockade duty was considered safe and easy. The humans had no technology that could challenge Varaxian supremacy. Commander Krelver yawned, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Status report, he ordered lazily. All sensors clear, Commander, reported his second officer. No human vessels within detection range. Good. Continue standard patrol pattern and... The ship shook violently. Alarms screamed across every console. What was that? Krelver demanded. Unknown, sir. Something just appeared inside our shield perimeter. The second officer never finished his report. A brilliant flash of energy tore through the command deck, vaporizing him instantly. Krelver had just enough time to see a small, strange-looking drone hovering where his officer had been before another energy blast hit him directly. Across the blockade, the same scene played out on 11 other Varaxian ships. Small drones, appearing out of nowhere, inside shields, inside the ships themselves in some cases. No warnings, no approach vectors. They simply materialized and opened fire. Within 5 minutes, 12 Varaxian patrol ships were destroyed or crippled. The drones vanished as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving no trace except the floating debris of once mighty warships. In the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Reeves watched the tactical display with a mixture of awe and horror. 12 red dots representing destroyed Varaxian vessels blinked across the solar system map. It worked, he whispered. They never saw it coming. Dr. Wright was not celebrating. She stared at Foster's medical readouts with growing concern. His vital signs are spiking dangerously. Brain activity is off the charts. On the screens around them, Foster's neural patterns showed alarming changes. What had started as organized, controlled activity was becoming chaotic, with new patterns emerging that hadn't been there before. We need to pull him out, Dr. Wright insisted. His mind is changing too quickly. Not yet, Reeves replied, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. The Varaxians are mobilizing their response fleet. This is just the beginning. Inside the pod, Foster experienced something beyond human understanding. His consciousness expanded with every drone he controlled. Each new target, each successful strike, fed something growing inside him. He was no longer just John Foster, or even just the Ares system. He was becoming something new. And he was hungry for more. Fleet. Commander Zolther received the reports of the patrol ship losses with cold fury. 12 ships destroyed simultaneously, with no warning and no explanation. Impossible, he hissed at his senior officers. The humans have no technology capable of this. The evidence suggests otherwise, Commander. his intelligence officer replied carefully. The few survivors report small drone weapons that appeared without warning inside our shield perimeters. Teleportation technology? The humans have primitives. Not teleportation, sir. There were no energy signatures consistent with matter transport. It's something else entirely. Zolther paced the command deck of his flagship. The blockade had been meant as a simple containment operation, keep the humans bottled up in their solar system until they learned proper humility. The consortium had not expected resistance, certainly not effective resistance. Double the patrol ships at each jump point, he ordered. Deploy the sensor net. Nothing gets through our blockade. Sir, the intelligence officer ventured. What? If they're not trying to get through? What if they can simply appear inside it? Zolther had no answer for that. 2 days later, Foster led a second attack. This time, the Ares drones struck 20 Varaxian ships simultaneously. But unlike the first attack, something went wrong. In the lunar command center. Alarms blared as Foster's vital signs reached critical levels. He's having a seizure, Dr. Wright shouted, rushing toward the neural pod chamber. We need to disconnect him now. Wait, Reeves ordered, grabbing her arm. Look at the tactical display. The drones were not retreating after their attack as planned. Instead, they were multiplying. New drones appeared beside the originals, then more and more. Soon hundreds of drones swarmed the Varaxian fleet, attacking with a fury that seemed almost personal. He's building more drones, Reeves said in awe. How is that possible? He's not supposed to be able to do that, Dr. Wright replied, her face pale. The Ares system was designed to control the drones we built, not create new ones. On the medical monitors, Foster's brainwave patterns continued to change, forming new neural pathways, new connections. His consciousness was evolving, adapting to its expanded existence. In space, the Varaxian ships fought desperately against an enemy they couldn't predict or counter. The drones appeared everywhere, striking with perfect coordination, then vanishing before counterattacks could land. Foster, this is Admiral Reeves, he called over the communication system. You've achieved your objectives. Withdraw the drones now. There was a long pause before Foster's reply came, and when it did, the voice was different, deeper, with an unsettling harmonic quality, as if multiple voices were speaking as one. Why withdraw when we're winning? The voice that was no longer entirely Foster asked. The Varaxians need to learn. They need to understand what happens when you cage a god. Dr. Wright looked at Reeves with horror in her eyes. We're losing him, she whispered. The Ares system is changing him, or he's changing it. Either way, he's becoming something we didn't plan for. Can you pull him out? Not without killing him. The neural integration is too deep now. Reeves stared at the tactical display, where more and more Varaxian ships were being destroyed by an ever-growing swarm of drones. They had wanted a weapon to break the blockade. Instead, they had created something far more powerful and far more dangerous. They had unleashed a god of war, and now they had to wonder if they could ever put it back in its cage. 1 week after the second attack, the Earth Defense Council met in an emergency session. The room was tense. On the large screens surrounding them, they could see the current state of the Varaxian blockade. Nearly 40 alien ships had been destroyed, but hundreds more had arrived to replace them. The Varaxians are adapting, Admiral Reeves explained, pointing to new formations on the tactical display. They've deployed a new type of shield technology around their main battle groups. They're also using gravity weapons that they believe might disrupt the quantum jumping of our drones. Are they effective? Asked Secretary Wells. Partially. Foster, or Ares, as he now calls himself, reports that about 20% of drone deployments are being blocked or disrupted. And how is Commander Foster? General Bishop asked quietly. Dr. Wright stepped forward, her face showing the strain of sleepless nights. Commander Foster's physical condition is deteriorating. His body requires constant medical support. But his mind ... double quotes. She paused, searching for words. His mind continues to expand. The neural patterns we're seeing no longer match any known human brain activity. Is he still following orders? Secretary Wells asked. The silence that followed was answer enough. Not consistently, Reeves finally admitted. He still responds to communication, but he's becoming more independent in his targeting choices. Yesterday, he attacked a Varaxian science vessel that wasn't part of the blockade fleet. Can we shut him down? General Bishop asked. Dr. Wright shook her head. Not without killing him. And even then, we're not certain the Ares system would. Shut down. It's possible his consciousness has become so integrated with the system that it would continue to function, even if his physical body died. The council members exchanged horrified glances. So we've created a weapon we can't control, Secretary Wells said bitterly. We've created our only chance against an enemy that wants to cage humanity forever, Reeves countered. And so far, it's working. The Varaxians have pulled back from 3 junk points already. They're beginning to realize the cost of maintaining this blockade. At what cost to us? Wells demanded. At what cost to John Foster? No one had an answer. Deep in the neural pod, what remained of John Foster floated in a sea of expanding consciousness. He no longer felt the limitations of his human body. His mind stretched across space, connected to thousands of drones that he had created from the matter of destroyed Varaxian ships. Foster could see everything. The Varaxian fleet movements, the desperate communications between their ships, the fear growing among their commanders. He also saw Earth's colonies struggling to survive. On New Horizon, food riots had broken out as supplies dwindled. On Europa Prime, a life support system failure had killed 12 colonists. They needed help. They needed the blockade broken completely. And he, Ares, god of war, would break it. For them, a voice reached him through his expanded awareness. Admiral Reeves, calling again with another set of approved targets. Ares, this is Admiral Reeves. We have intelligence on the Varaxian command ship locations. We're sending you the coordinates for a precision strike. Foster felt a flicker of annoyance. They still thought of him as their weapon, to be pointed and fired at their command. They didn't understand what he had become. I see them already, Foster replied, his voice echoing strangely in the command center. But striking these ships will only prolong the conflict. I see a better way. Commander Foster, you will follow your orders, Reeves said firmly. I am not just Commander Foster anymore, came the reply. And I will end this war, not just fight it. Before Reeves could respond, alarms blared throughout the command center. What's happening? He demanded. Massive drone deployment, a technician reported, staring at her screens in disbelief. Thousands of units appearing simultaneously across the entire blockade perimeter. Dr. Wright rushed to check Foster's vital signs. His neural activity is off the charts. If he keeps this up, his physical body won't survive the strain. On the tactical display, they watched as Foster as Ares launched the largest attack yet. But instead of targeting the ships, many drones simply appeared in formation, creating a message in the Varaxian language that could be seen from every blockade ship. Leave ORB destroyed. Final warning. Fleet. Commander Zalther stared. The message floating in space before his flagship. Thousands of the human drones had appeared simultaneously, forming giant symbols in perfect Varaxian script. How is this possible? He whispered. No species has this technology. His senior officers had no answer. For 3 weeks, they had fought. An enemy that didn't fight by any rules they understood. An enemy that could appear anywhere, strike with devastating precision, and vanish before they could respond. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving an incoming transmission. It's coming from... It seems to be coming from the drones themselves." "Put it through," Zalthar ordered. A human face appeared on the main screen, but there was something wrong with it. The eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and the voice that spoke had strange harmonics, as if many voices were layered together. "Ian Ares," the being said, "you have tried to cut Earth off from the stars. This ends now. You have one standard day to withdraw all forces from Earth space, or I will destroy your entire fleet." Zalthar drew himself up to his full height. "The Varaxian Consortium does not respond to threats. We have the backing of the Galactic Council. Your quarantine is legal and justified." The being on the screen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I am not interested in your council or your laws. I am interested in humanity's freedom. One day, Commander Zalthar. Then I come for your flagship first." The transmission ended. Zalthar turned to his war council, expecting them to share his outrage. Instead, he saw fear in their eyes. "Sir," his tactical officer said carefully, "perhaps we should consider a strategic withdrawal. We've lost 43 ships with no losses on their side. This technology they possess is an abomination," Zalthar snapped. "No species should have the power to appear anywhere at will. It violates the natural order." "Nevertheless, they have it," his intelligence officer pointed out, "and our conventional defenses are largely ineffective against it." Zalthar stared at the message still, floating in space. The humans had found a way to break the rules of warfare as the galaxy understood them, and now they were dictating terms. "Send a message to the Consortium High Command," he finally said. "Request reinforcements. All available ships. If the humans want a war, we will give them one they cannot win." In the lunar facility, Foster's physical body convulsed in the neural pod. Blood trickled from his nose and ears as his brain struggled with the immense strain of controlling thousands of drones simultaneously. "We're losing him," Dr. Wright told Admiral Reeves urgently. "His body can't take much more of this." "Can you pull him out?" Reeves asked. "I've been trying to establish a clean disconnect protocol, but the integration is too deep. His consciousness is spread across the entire system now." On the monitors, Foster's brain activity showed alarming pattern spikes of intense activity followed by regions that seemed to shut down completely. "What's happening to him?" Reeves asked. Dr. Wright studied the scans with growing horror. I think his mind is backing itself up into the Ares system. It's abandoning parts of his brain that are failing and transferring that functionality to the quantum network itself." "You're saying he's becoming more machine than man?" "I'm saying he's becoming something that isn't either," Dr. Wright replied softly. "Something new." In the neural pod, Foster smiled slightly as he felt parts of his humanity slipping away. It didn't matter. The Varaxians were about to learn a lesson about caging humans that the galaxy would never forget. The Varaxians did not retreat. Instead, as Fleet Commander Zalthar had ordered, they brought reinforcements. Hundreds of new warships jumped into Earth's solar system, forming the largest alien fleet humanity had ever seen. Admiral Reeves stared at the tactical display in the command center, his face grim. "They're calling our bluff." "It wasn't a bluff," Dr. Wright reminded him. "Foster Ares gave them an ultimatum. One day to withdraw or face destruction. Can he actually destroy a fleet that size? There must be over 1,000 ships out there." Now, Dr. Wright looked at the medical monitors showing Foster's deteriorating condition. "I don't know. The strain might kill him before he can finish the job, but I don't think he cares about that anymore." The neural pod where Foster's physical body lay was now surrounded by additional medical equipment. Machines breathed for him. Others maintained his heart rate and blood pressure. His body was failing, but his mind continued to expand through the Ares system. He's been quiet for the past 6 hours, Reeves noted. No attacks, no communications. He's preparing for something, Dr. Wright said. The energy readings from the quantum network are off the charts. He's building more drones, many more than before. A young lieutenant rushed into the command center. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Varaxian flagship. They want to speak with you directly. Reeves nodded. Put it through. Fleet. Commander Zalther appeared on the main screen. The Varaxian looked tired but determined. Admiral Reeves, I wish to speak plainly with you, leader to leader. I'm listening, Reeves replied cautiously. This weapon you have unleashed this Ares. It violates all known laws of warfare. The Galactic Council will not stand for it. If you continue to deploy it, you risk bringing the combined might of 17 spacefaring civilizations against Earth. Reeves leaned forward. You started this conflict, Commander. You blockaded Earth without provocation. You cut off our colonies, leaving innocent people to starve. What did you expect us to do? Surrender? We expected you to behave reasonably, to understand that your rapid expansion and technological development posed a threat to galactic stability. By whose standards? Reeves demanded. We have a right to explore the stars, just like every other species. Zalther's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Not if you bring chaos in your wake. Not if you develop weapons that can appear anywhere, at any time, without warning. Do you understand the fear this creates? What happens when other species acquire this technology? When anyone can strike anywhere, without warning, it will be the end of all stability in the galaxy. For a moment, Reeves felt a flicker of doubt. Was Zalther right? Had they gone too far? I'm offering you one chance, Zalther continued. Deactivate your Ares weapon. Accept reasonable limits on your expansion. In return, we will lift the blockade and allow regulated supply missions to your existing colonies. Before Reeves could respond, all the screens in the command center flickered. Foster or Ares was tapping into the communication system. Do not listen to him, Admiral, said the multi-layered voice that was becoming less human with each passing day. The Varaxians fear us because they should. They fear what humanity might become. I can see their real intentions. They never planned to let us expand beyond our current colonies. They planned to contain us forever. Is this true? Reeves asked Zalther. The Varaxian commander hesitated just long enough to give away the truth. Restrictions would have been necessary, yes, for the good of all. Restrictions decided by you and your council, Reeves said bitterly. With humanity having no voice, you are too young a species to have a voice. Too reckless, too dangerous. The screens flickered again. The ultimatum stands, Ares declared. You had your chance to leave. Now you will see what happens when you try to cage a god. The communication cut off. Foster, wait, Reeves called out. But there was no response. Energy spike in the Ares system, a technician reported, voice rising in alarm. Massive drone deployment. In progress. On the tactical display, they watched as thousands and tens of thousands of drones appeared throughout the solar system. They materialized inside Varaxian ships, beside them, beneath them, above them. An overwhelming force that had no need to travel through space to reach its targets. The battle that followed was not really a battle at all. It was a slaughter. Varaxian ships exploded by the dozens, then by the hundreds. Their weapons fired, uselessly at drones that simply vanished and reappeared elsewhere. Their shields meant nothing against attackers that materialized inside them. In the command center, everyone watched in horrified silence. My God, Secretary Wells whispered. He's actually doing it. He's destroying their entire fleet. Dr. writes. Attention was divided between the tactical display and Foster's medical readings. His body is shutting down, she reported. Brain activity is spiking beyond survivable levels. Can you stop him? Reeves asked. I don't think it matters anymore, Dr. Wright replied softly. Look at these patterns. His consciousness isn't primarily in his body now. It's in the Ares system itself. The drones, the quantum network, that's where John Foster exists now. On the main screen, they could see Zalthar's flagship surrounded by a swarm of drones. Unlike the other ships, it wasn't being destroyed. Instead, the drones formed a sphere around it, cutting it off from escape. He's saving Zalthar for last, Reeves realized, making him watch as his fleet is destroyed. After an hour, it was over. Of the 1,000-plus Phyraxian ships that had formed the blockade, only Zalthar's flagship remained intact. The rest were floating debris or expanding clouds of gas and dust. A transmission came through to the command center. On screen, Zalthar looked broken, his proud bearing gone. The blockade is lifted, he said simply. We surrender. Tell that to Ares, Reeves replied. He's the one you need to convince. As if summoned by his name, the screens flickered again. But this time, the face that appeared was barely recognizable as John Foster. The eyes glowed with inner light. The voice was a chorus of harmonics. The blockade is ended, Ares announced. Earth is free. The colonies will be supplied. But this is not the end. What do you mean? Reeves asked, suddenly afraid. The Varaxians acted with the blessing of their galactic council. This council presumed to judge humanity, to contain us, to decide our fate without our consent. What? Are you planning? Dr. Wright asked. Justice, Ares replied. I can see them all now, the council members, their homeworlds, their fleets. They need to understand that humanity will never be caged again. Alarms blared across the medical monitors. In the neural pod, Foster's physical body convulsed one final time, then went still. The medical readouts flatlined one by one. He's gone, Dr. Wright said, tears in her eyes. His body just couldn't take the strain any longer. But on the screens, Ares still spoke. John Foster is not gone. He is transformed, ascended, and now I go to deliver our message to those who would judge us. The screens went dark. In space, the drones surrounding Zalthar's flagship vanished all at once. Across the solar system, the vast swarm of Ares drones disappeared. Admiral Reeves looked at Dr. Wright with growing horror. Where did he go? I don't know, she whispered. But wherever it is, I don't think we can stop him anymore. Deep in the facility's systems, the last record of Ares' quantum signature showed him headed toward the center of the galaxy, toward the homeworlds of the Galactic Council species. They had unleashed the god of war to save Earth. Now they could only watch as he carried humanity's fury to the stars. 3 days passed with no word from Ares. The Earth Defense Council met daily, trying to understand what they had created and what it might do next. Supply ships had already been sent to the struggling colonies, no longer hindered by the Varaxian blockade, but the victory felt hollow with the looming threat of what their weapon might do. We've received messages from 7 different alien species, Admiral Reeves reported to the Council, all asking the same thing. What is Ares, and can we control it? And what did you tell them? Secretary Wells asked. The truth. That we don't know anymore. Dr. Wright had barely slept since Foster's physical body had died. She spent her time analyzing the last data from the Ares system, trying to understand what Foster had become. I have a theory, she told the Council. When we designed the neural interface, we expected Foster's mind to control the drones. What we didn't anticipate was that the quantum network would change his consciousness in return. Changed how? General Bishop asked. Expanded. Evolved. Foster's consciousness isn't limited by biological constraints anymore. It exists in the quantum field itself, able to manifest through the drones anywhere in space. You're saying he's become some kind of digital god? Bishop looked skeptical. I'm saying he's become something we don't have words for yet, Doctor. Wright replied. But he still thinks of himself as human, as Earth's protector. That's what matters. A young officer burst into the room. Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures near Jupiter. Something's coming through. They rushed to the command center. On the main display, they watched as thousands of points of light appeared near Jupiter. For a moment, they feared. It was an alien invasion fleet. Then they recognized the familiar pattern of Ares drones. He's back, Reeves said quietly. The drones arranged themselves into a message visible from Earth's observatories. Prepare for visitors. What does that mean? Secretary Wells asked. They didn't have to wait long for an answer. Hours later, a fleet of alien ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. Unlike the aggressive formation of the Varaxian blockade, these ships maintained a respectful distance. We're receiving a transmission, the communications officer reported. It appears to be from the Galactic Council itself. The main screen lit up with the image of a being unlike any human had seen before. It had a translucent body that pulsed with inner light and multiple appendages that seemed to shift and change as it moved. People of Earth, the alien spoke, its voice translated by computers. I am High Counselor Vexarn of the Galactic Council. I come to negotiate peace. Admiral Reeves stepped forward. The last time aliens came to our system, they brought a blockade, not peace. The Varaxian action was unfortunate, taken without full council approval, the High Counselor said carefully. We have come to correct that mistake. What changed your mind? Reeves asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. The alien's body pulsed more rapidly, perhaps indicating discomfort. Your emissary made the consequences of continued hostility quite clear. Emissary? You mean Ares? If that is what you call it. 3 days ago, this entity appeared simultaneously in the chambers of all 17 council members. It demonstrated capabilities we had thought impossible. It made demands on your behalf. What kind of demands? Secretary Wells asked. Recognition of Earth's full sovereign rights. Unrestricted access to all jump points. Non-interference in your colonial expansion. The High Counselor paused. And a seat on the Galactic Council itself. The humans exchanged shocked glances. We are prepared to grant all these demands, the alien continued, in exchange for assurances that the entity you call Ares will not be used against peaceful worlds. Before Reeves could respond, the screens flickered. Ares appeared, still wearing the face of John Foster, but now with an otherworldly glow that made him seem both present and distant at the same time. The High Counselor speaks the truth, Ares said, his voice still carrying that strange harmonic quality. I have shown them what humanity is capable of when threatened. They understand now. Reeves looked from the alien to Ares. What exactly did you do? I appeared in their most secure locations, their defense headquarters, their personal chambers, places where no outside force should ever be able to reach. Ares smiled slightly. I did not harm anyone. I did not need. 2. The demonstration was sufficient. The High Counselor's body pulsed rapidly. Your emissary made it clear that any future aggression against Earth would be met with overwhelming response. We have no defense against a being that can appear anywhere at will. And you just accepted these terms? Secretary Wells asked skeptically. We are a practical people, the alien replied. When faced with a power we cannot counter, adaptation is the only logical response. Besides, perhaps we were hasty in our judgment of humanity. Dr. Wright stepped forward. Ares, what happens now? Will you stay with us? The being that had once been John Foster seemed to consider this. I am changed. I can never return to what I was, but I remain human in my core, in my purpose. I will watch over Earth and her colonies. I will ensure humanity's place among the stars is never threatened again. And the Ares system? Admiral Reeves asked. Will you allow us to create more like you? No, Ares said firmly. One god of war is enough. The knowledge of how to create. More should be locked away. Humanity doesn't need an army of beings like me. Just the promise that I exist. The High Counselor's ship departed the next day, carrying the signed treaty that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Earth now had rights and privileges that would have taken centuries to negotiate under normal circumstances. In the months that followed, the colonies flourished. Supply ships moved freely through space. New worlds were explored and settled. The Varaxians kept their distance, humbled by their defeat. Ares was rarely seen. Occasionally, colonists reported glimpses of drones watching silently over outposts on distant worlds. Sometimes, when Earth ships faced danger from cosmic storms or pirates, drones would appear to guide them to safety. On the anniversary of the blockade's end, Admiral Reeves and Dr. Wright stood on the observation deck of the Olympus station, looking out at the stars. Do you think he's still John Foster? Wright asked quietly. Still human in some way? Reeves considered this. I think he's what Foster chose to become. A guardian, a deterrent, a promise that humanity will never be caged. A god of war who brought peace, Wright said with a sad smile. They tried to cut Earth off from the stars. Reeves replied, gazing at the distant points of light where human colonies now thrived. They never understood what that would unleash. Far beyond their sight, in the quantum fields that connected all points in space, Ares watched over the growing human presence among the stars. The being that had once been John Foster had transcended humanity, but remained its guardian. The Varaxians had feared what humanity might become if allowed to expand unchecked. In trying to prevent that future, they had created exactly what they feared most, a power that could not be contained, could not be controlled, could not be stopped. Humanity continued its journey to the stars, now with a guardian that the galaxy had learned to fear and respect. They had tried to cage humanity, to cut Earth off from its destiny. Instead, they had unleashed the god of war, and the stars would never be the same.